Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Hey, look what I found. I found my intro script.
So now you know what to say.
Yeah, now I know what to say. I would say something like, hey, everybody, welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we talk about all things good and the pursuit of the adventure of life. I am Rafe, and it is going to be a great show today because that's the kind of thing we can just decree and it will happen. That is the way things go here. One of the things that's going to make it a great show is I'm here with Harry. Harry, how are you?
Rafe, I'm doing well. I'm here. I've been on a brief hiatus for not really sure why.
Yeah, you've been busy.
I'm
busy.
back. I've been busy.
Yeah, busy. Busy happens. Life happens. Those important things get in the way, and there's there's the buff. Those of you who are regular listeners are not on hiatus, and we appreciate the fact that you are here with us. We appreciate you listening every week. And just so you know, you can reach us at bufnagle@bufnagle.com, and we can send us whatever you need to send us. And hey,
We'll answer all questions.
We'll answer all questions. They might even be helpful. So just remember, if you get a friend to listen, you will get a free episode. And if you could do that thing where you hit the you hit that smiley star button or the like button or the whatever it is that says the buff is great, then that's great. It helps us. 5 stars are wonderful. 6, if you can actually force a 6th star in there for a 6-star review.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea because that just tells people to have other people listen to the buff. So one person gives 5 and another person gives the 6, and suddenly we're at an average of 3.
We're gonna have to do another math episode because I didn't quite get that one. Anyway, give us a good review, give us some positive stuff, and tell a friend to listen. Like I said, you'll get a free episode, and I'm sure we'll talk about something that makes you tick. And so tonight I'm surprising Harry with this a little bit because I said don't prepare because this will be kind of like a what do they say, rapid fire kind of question kind of thing. We're not just going to
seat of my pants, right?
Yeah, you are. You should be. He's looking frightful. I was out, Harry, last weekend. The reason we had to record early last weekend to get to where we are now is I went to Iowa for a wedding, and I was out in the northwest corner of Iowa at Lake Okoboji for this wedding. And before that, I was in Minneapolis. And the first thing to note is when I was in Minneapolis, I was right along the Mississippi River. And guess what I saw flying along the Mississippi River?
An airplane.
I did see an airplane, but even better than that, I saw an animal.
You saw a pig with wings.
Pigs
have flown.
Pigs have flown. It's over.
Cash in all your bets.
So I saw a bald eagle. Again, I've seen more bald eagles in the last year.
I saw one at your house when I was visiting. I looked out the way, and there was one that swooped right in front of the window and flew off.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Did you tell me that?
Yes.
Oh,
and then we had a whole discussion about how you saw another 2 or 3 of them down the road.
Okay, well, so they're everywhere, and not only that, but they make me very forgetful. So, I saw the bald eagle there in Minneapolis, as Zach likes to say, and I saw Zach when we were up there. That was a great time. And then we went to Lake Okoboji there in Iowa. And on the drive back from Iowa, I saw 2 animals that I've only seen. I saw 2 examples of one animal that I've only seen one of in the wild. And the one I had ever seen in the wild was just roadkill. And that was the North American badger. Okay. I saw when we were driving back from the wedding late at night, I saw a badger along the side of the road, and it was strange because I saw this. There's a bunch of animals that are like badgers. They are called Mustelidae is the family name. They're called mustelids, and they involve otters, wolverines, martens, minks, polecats, weasels, ferrets, and badgers. And I've seen a number of those otters, and I've never seen a wolverine. Have you seen a wolverine?
I hope not.
I
Right? Like, wasn't that like the thing to say? It's like, if I see a Wolverine, it's probably too late.
yeah, probably unless there's a fence with you. Wolverines. The only thing I know about Wolverines is they are they're the Michigan mascot.
And Hugh
Right.
Jackman plays the character.
Okay, that's right. And then is that a Marvel's comic or is that X-Men?
It's
Is
a
that the other one?
Marvel's
DC?
X-Men comic thing.
Okay, I never can. I'll bet you once a quarter I ask Zach, can he please remind me which ones are DC and which ones are Marvel, because I can't keep them straight. And Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, but Wolverines are not on this list here. I don't know where they are. Maybe they're hanging out with porcupines. But I saw a badger, Harry, and I hadn't thought about badgers in a while. And the next day when I was driving, that was late at night on Saturday, and then on Sunday when I was driving, I saw a piece of roadkill that was another badger. So I saw essentially. I don't think it was the same badger twice, because he would have beaten the car down the road. And
That's right.
Although we are going to learn that badgers can run really fast. Okay, so this is what I did, and this blew me away. And I'm going to walk you through what I went through, and it's not anything profound, but it was amazing to me to learn these things, basically because I never knew them, and I didn't even know I didn't know them. And then when I learned them, they came across to me as so subtle that I was blown away that there wasn't more.
Look at all these things that you're learning with all this retirement free time.
It
should have retired sooner.
The first thing I've learned is I have no, and everybody says this. All the retired guys I talk to say this. They say, I have no idea how I ever had time for a job. I feel like I'm not sitting around. I'm not sitting around watching TV. I'm not just staring at the wall. I'm not scrolling through InstaTwitFace, whatever that is on the phone. I'm always doing something, and it seems like the days get shorter and shorter and shorter. I have no idea how I had the job. So we're gonna have to have Bob back on here, and we will compare some more retirement stories now that I'm in the same camp that he is. All right, so I'm going to walk you through the things I've learned about badgers, and it wasn't much. You know what? When Olivia was younger, like early teens, and we'd go on these trips to these Lego shows and stuff like that, when we were in the car, I used to make her read me Wikipedia, because it was
like, what else is there to do?
Well, yeah, you're just driving along there, and you can listen to music, but that's pretty dull because you've heard every song that's ever been done by the time you get to be my age, and you can learn all sorts of new stuff. So I've learned all sorts of stuff through your sister's version of what, books on tape, is that what they call them?
Well, I guess that's like Olivia the podcast, right?
That's what it would be. That's what it would be. And she could do that. And we're going to have her back on again one of these days to talk about these sorts of things. But she's been kind of busy being mom these days.
Yeah.
That's the thing that she does, and she does very well. So, all right. So I said to your mother at one point, I said, can you read me some Wikipedia about badgers? And of course that didn't go over very well.
Of course not. I can imagine she's sitting there like, no, Rafe, I just want to take a nap.
No, I would like to nap. Yes, that's right. So that's
I want
good
no
thing.
sound, no object other than the humming of the wheels going across the highway.
Yeah, and please don't interrupt it with the when you hit the shoulder. All right, so I was like, okay, I saw a badger. Let me learn some more about badgers. Badgers are short-legged omnivores in the family of mustelids. All right, so that's kind of cool. And otters, wolverines, martens, minks, polecats, weasels, parrots are all in that group. Badgers are polyphyletic rather than a natural taxonomic grouping. Polyphyletic? What the hell? I mean, this is the second.
We're going back into Latin class.
Well, or Greek.
Multiple, right?
Yes, multiple phyletic. Okay, so what that means is, and there's a link to that, of course. Okay, here's what I found when I read that. It took me like this, when I printed this out in this very large, like 12-point font. That's how it came out of the thing. There's only like a little bit more than 6 pages of text here, including some pictures. It took me like 2 hours to read this whole thing, because everything was a link of a word I didn't know. And I didn't even know I didn't know it. Okay, polyphyletic means that when you look at its taxonomical grouping, there's 2 different ways to get to where it is. So it has to do with like convergent evolution. So like if you have, let's say you get to winged animals. Okay. So like birds are winged animals, but so are bats.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in order to get, so you can get to that space of winged animals through two different ways. You can come through class Aves or you can come through class Mammalia and you get to winged animals. And you can say, well, bats are obviously mammals and birds are obviously birds, but badgers kind of like, because of their body shape and the things that they do when they eat, they are polyphyletic. And some taxonomists believe in polyphyleticism and some of them don't. And there's apparently a big argument.
Wow, we've really stumbled our way into just
this is what happened to me this afternoon.
arguments of science.
Oh, it was all over the place. Okay, being united by their squat bodies and adaptation for fossorial activity. Fossorial activity? What the hell is that?
They like to dig up seashells?
Well, they like to dig up stuff.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
And fossorial means, okay, I thought fossils meant like old dead stuff that was still around in some sort of changed form. Like fossilized bone was bone that like turned to rock, and now that it's rock, you can hold it and it's no longer bone. That's not what fossil means. It comes from the word that means dug up. So if you undergo fossorial activity, that means you dig stuff up, and a lot of times we're going to find out that they eat in a fossorial manner. A lot of stuff they eat, they catch underground.
All right.
Yes, all right. And apparently there are lots of different animals that come to this body shape with these short little like moles. Like moles are probably they are. You ever watched a mole? You've seen these videos of moles eating worms or moles chasing things through their hole. It's like, it is amazing.
With short, stubby legs, this elongated body,
and
they can probably move through tunnels really quick.
Oh yeah, and the snout that is all. It is all like data input. They're the ugliest animals because they aren't in light. I mean, they're spending all the time in darkness. Doesn't matter what you look like when the lights are off, right? So the badgers. Okay, so here I'm 2.5 sentences into this thing, and I've already run into all sorts of words I've never heard before, including fossorial activity. But all of them belong to the caniform order of carnivorous animals. All right, so they're carnivores. They eat all sorts of things. Okay, there are 15 species of mustelid badgers. It's like, all right, that's kind of fun. Grouped into 4 subfamilies. There's these the European badgers. There's like the ferret badger, the honey badger.
All right.
Okay, the honey badger is in the group, and the American badger are some of these other ones. And then badgers include the most basal mustelid. Basal mustelid. What the hell's a basal mustelid? Like, this is what it was like to read this, Harry. Okay, a basal mustelid is the American badger is the most basal mustelid, meaning that when the taxonomical tree splits, the basal animal is the one closest to the split. Okay. So the American badger is the most basal. So it's the most. It's like the ancientest.
It's
one.
the most common features of the other badgers.
Of
the common ancestor.
It's like the first. It's like the first one that was. It's like the first one that arrived at the New World, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm your most basal offspring.
You are my most. Yes. So if the family, that's exactly. Yours the most basal offspring. All right, and okay, followed successively by the ratel, which is another name for the honey badger. Right. The estimated split dates are 17.8, 15.5, and 14.8 million years ago. Okay, so badgers split off from whatever the hell else, whatever we got before we got those stubby legs and the long claws and the pointy snout, somewhere between about 15 and 18 million years ago. And I keep I don't know a lot of we talk a lot of history on this podcast, but we rarely go prior to. Well, last week we went to like 1060 AD or 1030, something like that.
Yeah, and we've done some stuff with Aristotle and Plato. So
we're
going back to what, 3,000 or 4,000 BC? Maybe?
Oh, not even that. Yeah, if we get to the old Egyptians, we might go that far. Well, this is like 15 million years. Well, 14.998 BC, million BC, and but the other date that's back there that really seems to matter to me is the 65 million years ago thing that asteroid wipe out the
Yes.
dinosaurs thing, and that marks the division between, I don't know, Jurassic, Triassic, Cretaceous. I don't remember what it is, but there's a 65 million year thing, and now these are like, so this seems to me like this is a relatively recent split to have these things come out 15 million years ago. That's not very far, right?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is two paragraphs in. Okay. Now this paragraph blew me away. The two species of Asiatic stink badgers. Asiatic stink badger. What's an
So they
Asiatic?
hang out in Greece.
Well, no. Well, the Asiatic was, so they're in Asia. Okay, and they're
Asiatic.
What did I say? Oh,
I think you
Asiatic.
said
Okay.
Asiatic.
No, Asia. Okay, I don't. Maybe that's
Sure,
further.
there might be one.
The Asiatic stink batters. They wear togas. All right, so the Asiatic stink batters. All right, so say that 3 times fast. The stink badgers. Okay, but more recent genetic evidence indicates these are actually members of the skunk family.
Well, that makes sense. They're a little
Okay.
smelly.
So they're smelly. So these things that they thought were badgers are really skunks, and skunks aren't these things because they're different. Skunks are closer to, I don't know, possums or raccoons, or I don't know what they are. But okay, so it's interesting because in the third paragraph here, they pretty much tell us that Asiatic stink badgers and Asiatic stink badgers, the ones in the progress, right, that they are not real badgers. Okay, but then a couple paragraphs down, they talk about stink badgers again. I was like, who's editing this stuff?
Obviously not you.
Obviously not me. Okay, if we're pulling stink badgers out, if they're no longer on the team, we have to strike them from the program. All right. So, and then they talk about how their jaws are really strong because, well, they're badgers. They grab on, they really bite you bad. Okay, short, wide bodies with short legs for digging. They have elongated weasel-like heads with small ears. The tails vary in length depending on species. The stink badger has a short tail. I was like, well, the stink badger's not even on the team anymore.
I should go be in the skunk page, right?
Yeah, it should be on the skunk page, right?
Yeah.
While the ferret badger's tail can be 46 to 51 centimeters long. It's 18 to 20 inches. Okay, that's a long tail on a badger, a ferret badger. Black faces, distinctive white markings, gray bodies, blah, blah, blah. They grow to around 90 centimeters in length, including the tail. Okay, that's a meter long. That's like
half my wingspan.
That's half your wingspan. That's a big badger, man. That's
something you have to wrestle if it comes after you.
If you have to wrestle it, if you're going to have to stop it, you're going to have to wrestle it. The European badger is one of the largest.
Oh, okay, so 120 centimeters?
Well, I think that's probably around the 90 centimeter mark would be the European badgers.
Okay.
The American badger, the hog badger, and the honey badger are generally a little smaller. The stink badgers are smaller still. It's like the stink badgers shouldn't even be in the paragraph here, okay? Ferret badgers. How do they be a ferret badger? The smallest of all, they weigh 9 to 11 kilograms, while some Eurasian badgers weigh around 18 kilograms. Okay, so
9 to 11 kilograms is 22 pounds.
Yeah, it's 20 pounds. Right. And so they can be, the small badgers can be like 20 pounds, and the big ones are like 40 pounds. And I don't know how big a dog is. Like if you have we had little Sophie, she was little. She was like 16 pounds. You know, when she was her right weight, she was like 14 pounds, and she gained like a whole pound, and it was like she was really fat, right? Because she's a little doggy, right? Yeah. And so, but badgers can be like 40 pounds, and I'm trying to figure how big 40 pounds is pretty big. It's you're not just going to whip around 40 pounds.
It's like a 4-year-old.
It is like a 4-year-old, right? And so imagine a 4-year-old that's in the shape of a badger. Okay, so I was all in now on badgers. Okay, this is like, and I'm reading every paragraph I read has new interesting things about it. Okay, etymology. Right, the word badger, originally applied to European badgers, comes from the earlian badger. You probably have to say that with a growl in your voice somewhere, referring to the white mark on the face. The less common known for badger is a brock.
All right.
Brock. Okay, so America's favorite naval aviator has the same name as the archaic name for a badger.
Well, I expect to hear from him later this week.
We will have to get on him for this. So it's a Celtic loan word, and it means gray. I bet if he looks up his name, it'll say that it means gray, but it's also the name of a badger because these things are gray in body, and they have these black and white heads, and they're very distinct. It was very obvious to see that this thing was was a badger when it was along the side of the road.
Sure.
All right. They dig little tunnels called setts, setts. It's a sett, sett. All right. And they live in little groups called seats. Not, you would think.
So the seats live in sets.
No, the setts. Yes, the seats. The members of the seat live in a set, and different seats live in different sets. But seat is not spelled S-E-A-T; it's C-E-T-E, which apparently is the same root word as like the word for like whales or something like that. It's just I wasn't able to piece all that
maybe
together.
Similar to pods or something like that.
Well, okay, yes, right, and sometimes they call badger colonies pods instead of seats. Like it's not real obvious. I think this hasn't. Okay,
let's just say some issues here with these scientist folk.
Well, that's what I don't think they have enough meetings where they take this kind of stuff seriously. Is what I'm thinking.
They don't have a whole podcast dedicated to just the badger Wikipedia page.
Okay, well, and get this. Okay, the male European badger is called a boar. The female is a sow, and the young badger is a cub. Okay, so boars are like pigs, right? Right, and sows are pigs, but the young badger is called a cub. But that's like a bear thing, right?
Yeah.
What are bears called? Are bears? Is that the same name as bears? Are bears?
Well, I don't know.
We need a bearologist. I didn't go that far because at this point I had so many tabs open, looking up all these Greek
Your computer
words.
was slowing down.
Yeah, it was slowing down. Okay, but that's the European badger. In North America, the young are actually called kits. Okay, rabbits are
like a fox.
Well, and okay, so who's in charge of the badgers is what I'm trying to figure out. It seems like, and just behind your shoulder now, I just saw your cat walk by, and I imagine that was a badger. It was very scary.
Yes, we have badgers in our house now.
Yes, so the young are called kits, and the male and female are called just males and females. Well, that's silly.
It's boring.
It is boring. Okay, so all right, so we got sets and we got seats, but neither one is spelled the way you would spell set and seat. No. And we don't know what to call the males and females or the young, other than they're all badgers, which is actually a word that you could use Brock for instead.
So we have no idea what to call them. Do we know what they eat?
Well, they eat all sorts of things, but more importantly, it is, what do they drink?
Well, you know what I think they should drink? Something that I love. I love drinking smoothies. And the best way to make smoothies is through the BlendJet 2. Because it's portable, you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake on the go, or even a margarita on the beach or in a set. And it's small enough to fit in a cup holder, powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. The BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up the whole house. And it lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. And best of all, it cleans itself. Just, drop a soap in the water and blend it all up and you're good to go.
And I'm betting if you are a badger that lives in a seat with a seat in a set, then you would want to have your own BlendJet too.
Probably with the family picture on
with a picture on it. And I'll bet you could come up with your favorite clan representative in a color, right? And because BlendJet has all of these millions of different kinds of prints and colors. So the question would be, if you're looking for something for the badger in your life, the question is, what are you waiting for? Just go to the blendjet.com link in the description below and grab yours today. Be sure to use the promo code bufnagle to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you will love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to the blendjet.com link in the description below and use the code bufnagle to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
All right, so after the badgers have got their BlendJet 2 using the bufnagle code, and they're feeding some smoothies for their kits, what else do they eat? This
is where, I saw these things, okay? The next thing talks about, where they live, and they live in North America, Great Britain, Ireland, as far east as Japan and China. The Javan ferret badger. How does it be a Javan ferret badger, okay? That lives in Indonesia. The Bornean ferret badger lives in Malaysia. The honey badger, of course, we've all heard about them. They live in Africa. So there are badgers everywhere. How do they behave? They live in sets and in groups called seats. Seats can be as big as small as 2 and as big as 15 badgers. Imagine 15 badgers on the same team. That's a rugby team, Harry.
They've all got numbers on their backs.
Okay, but listen, this and some of these some of these sentences, like I said, they just blew me away with their understatement, like how understated it was. Badgers can run or gallop at 25 to 30 kilometers per hour. That's 16 to 19. Yes. Okay, that face you're making right now.
You can put us.
Okay.
Just thinking, hang on. We got to keep in mind the big ones are like 20 kilos, right?
Yes.
40 pounds. So that means if you're really careful, you can get your newborn and strap it to the back, and suddenly you have a galloping newborn on an American badger.
Yes, and they can move very fast. Okay, 16 to 19 miles an hour for short periods of time. They are nocturnal. Okay, so that was the sentence. They can run or gallop 25 to 30 kilometers an hour for short periods of time. They are nocturnal. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute.
It's just terrifying.
So how fast is 16 to 19 miles an hour? Okay, 16 miles an hour is 7.15 meters per second, which means you can run 100 meters in 14 seconds at that speed. And that's the low end of like on your lawnmower, you have rabbit and turtle.
Yep.
Okay, if you had like rabbit, or if you had turtle and badger, if you put it on badger, you would go like you could do
than the rabbit.
100 meters in 14 seconds. If you were doing 19 miles an hour, you could do 100 meters in under 12 seconds.
Which is like right behind Usain Bolt for his 100-meter dash.
Yeah, not much behind him. In fact, you would win most high school competitions.
Yep.
As a badger.
Pretty easily.
Yeah. So that's a, and then the next sentence was they are nocturnal, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the only discussion there. Okay, so, and then more of them. Okay, so you had asked about diet before we came to the recognition that they love smoothies. All right, so the diet of the European badger consists largely of earthworms, and I'm like, earthworms, really? This is a badger. They eat earthworms. And then especially Lumbricus terrorestis. Then it gets better. Insects, grubs, and the eggs and young of ground nesting birds. They also eat small mammals, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, as well as roots and fruit. So they eat pretty much everything.
So I shouldn't strap my infant to the back of the
badger. No. Do not strap your infant to the badger. Well, if that's the only thing around, I don't think the badger could get to your infant if it was strapped on properly. But don't tell the infant to try to run from the
I'm just imagining like a 9-month-old kid like brandishing a small rapier, screaming on top of a badger.
Yeah, that'd be something. Okay, so they eat anything. In Britain, the main predator are the main predator of hedgehogs.
Aren't those in the same class or species?
Well, no, they're different. Well, they're not. Well, see, that's the thing. So then I thought, well, maybe I should dig up hedgehogs, but I didn't go to hedgehogs. You guys can look that up and figure that out. All right. And if you are part of the Hedgehog Restoration Foundation or whatever in Britain, if you want to get more hedgehogs, because apparently they have these hedges along roads, and the biggest, other than badgers, apparently the biggest problem for hedgehogs is getting hit by cars, of course.
Sure.
Right. And they will not, the hedgehog rescue societies do not release hedgehogs into known badger territories.
Well, it seems just about everywhere.
Well, they're absolutely. So it is. And there's all sorts of other things going on. They are occasionally predators of domestic chickens. Of course, they're
sure. Checks out.
They are able to break into enclosures that a fox cannot. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
They're like picking locks or something?
They have these claws on them, Harry, that are like, they're monstrous claws. This picture, do you see this picture of this badger here? Look at that. Look at those claws on that thing. I don't know. You try to keep the fox out. You keep the fox out of the hen house, and who knows? In southern Spain, badgers feed to a significant degree on rabbits. You talked about faster than the rabbit. They catch rabbits and they eat rabbits.
Yeah.
Okay. American badgers are fossorial carnivores. That is, they catch a significant portion of their food underground by digging.
So what, like other moles?
Moles, probably, groundhogs, what's out west, the prairie dogs. They can tunnel after ground-dwelling rodents at speed. I don't really know what that means, but I find that really frightening.
Just at speed.
At
It's
speed.
faster than you can do it.
I was flabbergasted. Okay, the honey badger. Okay, and then there's honey badgers. Okay, the honey badger consumes honey, porcupines, and even venomous snakes such as the puff adder. They climb trees to gain access to honey from bees' nests. Okay, and all you got to do is go
Pooh
watch
Bear
videos.
can learn a thing or two.
Oh yeah, Pooh Bear would not make it long against the
Although
bad.
Pooh Bear, he carries a pistol or he carries a rifle with him.
He does have the what is it called, a pop gun?
Got a pop
Pooh
gun.
Bear? Yeah, okay. Badgers have been known to become intoxicated with alcohol after eating rotting fruit. That is
Rather humorous.
well. Have you ever seen cedar waxwings like around holly trees? The holly berries, if they not Halle Berry, the actress, but the holly berries will become they will become intoxicated. No, the berries will become they will ferment on the vine, and the cedar waxwings come and they eat them up, and they get so drunk they can't fly. It's very funny, but badgers apparently have that situation as well. Now, okay, so badgers are a piece of the natural world. They have been hunted a lot, and they're protective acts here and there. Sometimes their fur is used to make shaving brushes. Apparently, for your if you shave, because I guess the bristles hold a lot of water, something like that. Sometimes they're used as food in certain areas. Okay, and this was one of those ones that struck me and I got deep into the internet on this one. Although rarely eaten today in the United States or in the UK, badgers were once a primary meat source of the diets of Native Americans and European colonists. All right, I got that. I mean, if you got to eat what you can find. Okay, they were also eaten in Britain during World War II and in the 50s. In some areas of Russia, consumption of badger meat is still widespread. Shish kebabs made from badger, along with dog meat and pork, are a major source of trichinosis outbreaks in the Altai region of Russia. And I was like, where the hell did they get that? So I clicked, so then I started doing this thing where I went to the actual references in the Wikipedia article. And and this is where it gets really interesting, is there was this site that tracks trichinosis outbreaks around the world and what caused them. And apparently there's this Altai region in Russia, and they had a number of outbreaks, and they were like, that's probably because people are eating badgers. Like, okay, I
guess I wouldn't eat badgers there.
Yeah, don't eat badgers out there. But apparently a lot of wild meat contains the bacterium, I guess, trichinosis bacterium, that causes trichinosis. So like wild, what do they call them? Feral pigs and bears, things that eat feral pigs, they all have trichinosis in them. And you have to be careful for those of you out there eating wild meat, cook your meat. Otherwise you get trichinosis, and that's bad. In France, there are several dishes that are made from badger meat, and badger meat was eaten in Spain until recently, probably until they ran out of rabbits. Okay. Okay, and then this one, there's this little paragraph. Badgers are sometimes kept as pets. Keeping a badger as a pet or offering one for sale is an offense in the United Kingdom under the 1992 Protection of Badgers Act. Why would you put a badger as a pet? What the hell is wrong with you?
You can release it.
Holy
you can
cow.
take care of the moles that infest your yard.
Oh, yeah, I guess. The New York badgers infest your yard.
Spike.
Okay, badgers in popular culture. Okay, I was like, this is not real, but it is real. In Europe during the medieval period, accounts of badgers in bestiaries. You know what a bestiary is?
I do not.
I had to look this up. A bestiary is a book about animals.
Oh, bestiary. Yes.
Yes, yeah, a bestiary. But it's not like an encyclopedia. It has to do with like, this is what we think animals are, and this is how it relates to their position in understanding scripture. And so there's a lot of stuff in these bestiaries that are not right. But okay. Accounts of badgers in bestiaries described badgers as working together to dig holes under mountains. They were said to lie down at the entrance of the hole, holding a stick in their mouths, while other badgers piled dirt on top of their bellies. Okay, so the idea was that a badger would lie down on his back, okay, and you put a stick in his mouth, and the other badgers would dump dirt on his tummy, and then two other badgers would grab that stick and drag the badger with the dirt on him like a sled to drag the dirt out of the hole. And I thought, that cannot be, that's not in the thing. So I looked it up, and it turns out that there's this really great, this is a really great site. It's called bestiary.ca. So it's out of Canada. It's this guy, and he runs this site where there are all of these animals, either real animals or mythological animals, and all sorts of different references to ancient texts about the things these animals did. And if you go to bestiary.com, you can see the picture that he's describing. And of course, it's drawn like in this, from the year 1250 or whatever it was. And there's so many things in there that are just obviously wacky and wild. Anyway, but it's great stuff because you can read about basilisks and unicorns and badgers and all sorts of other things. All right, there's a lot of famous badgers in literature. Did you ever read Bedtime for Francis? It was a children's book. Okay. Truffle Hunter is an heroic badger in the Chronicles of Narnia Prince Caspian book.
Yep.
There's a badger in there, okay? Badger characters are featured in Brian Jake's Redwall series. Okay, yes. We discussed that with our friend Sarah about the badgers, and they're often depicted as feared warriors, often falling under the title of Badger Lord or Badger Mother. Okay, the badger is the emblem of the Hufflepuff house in the Harry Potter stories.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And okay, so this is what it said. It is chosen as the emblem of the house because the badger is an animal that is often underestimated because it lives quietly until attacked, but which, when provoked, can fight off animals much larger than itself, which resembles the Hufflepuff house in several ways. And I was like, now, I got to ask somebody who's read the Harry Potter stuff. Is that a good description of Hufflepuff? Is that
sure? I guess.
Is it or is
it? Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
It's been years since I read.
I think it needs a reference. Okay, Beatrix Potter, The Tale of Mr. Todd, had a badger named Tommy Brock. Huh? Brock?
Oh, okay.
Brock? Yeah. Okay. Badgers are also in feature films. A Flash video called Badgers shows a seat of badgers doing calisthenics. Okay, now those of you who are around in the early, when was that, Harry? That'd been late 2000s?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Early 20-teens. The badger, mushroom video. It's a Flash video. Okay, that's what this is talking. There's a link to that video there in the Wikipedia thing.
It's a great video just to get stuck in your head.
Oh, please don't go there. You will regret it. The 1973 Disney film Robin Hood. In Robin Hood, Friar Tuck is a badger.
Okay, yeah.
All right. And in the Dr. Snuggle series, Dennis the Handyman is a badger. I was like, who's Dr. Snuggle? I never heard of that. The badger is the state animal of Wisconsin. Although it actually refers to miners who would dig into the hillsides instead of actual animals.
They probably got drug up by their buddies with a pile of dirt on
their tummies. That's how they used to mine in Wisconsin. Yeah. The guys would lie down, they pile dirt on their tummies, and the other guys would drag them up. The badger is the official masked mascot. The badger is the official mascot of Brock University in St. Catharines, Ontario. Okay?
That checks out.
All right. Anyway, and let's see what else we got. And apparently there's Styx the Badger in Sonic the Hedgehog. I was flabbergasted with the amount of material that was in the Wikipedia page that was just thrown out there. And holy cow, the rabbit holes you can go down are just astonishing. What I'm going to do, I know when we're done with this call, Harry, I know you're going to be spending hours digging into bestiary.ca. And that's some great stuff. I learned a lot about badgers, and I learned some other things about weddings that we'll probably discuss at the next episode. And I thought I would just make the mention that I saw a pair of badgers. Holy cow! This has been a day that it's like Badger Day. In the future, I will celebrate.
It's probably better than Groundhog Day.
I'm a big fan of groundhogs too, but I tell you, I'll take a badger over a groundhog any day of the week when it comes to battling.
Anyway, I can say no to that.
All right. Well, that's what we got. That's badgers. I suggest taking some time to read. Oh, they hunt sometimes in cooperation with coyotes. Right? And the reason they do that is the badgers hunt underground and the coyotes hunt above ground. And if the what are they called? The prairie dog see a coyote, they'll run underground. They'll hide in the burrow, and the badgers will catch them. And if the
And
prairie
then, like
dog sees
afterwards, the coyote and the badger have a barbecue.
no, they don't. They just kind of use each other, and then the next time if another prairie dog sees the badger, it'll run out of the hole, and the coyote will get him. And so they work together on that sort of thing, and that's not an uncommon thing. And those badgers can chase prey underground at speed, and something like there is no place to hide from the badger. Don't tick off the badger.
Yeah, I don't plan to anytime soon.
All right. Hey, well that's what I got. So, anything on your end? Nothing that exciting.
Not about badgers. I definitely don't know that much.
All right, man. Well, you have a great week. The rest of you, seek the good, be the good, and spread the good, and enjoy the adventure of life.